The day she said those words, I laughed because that's what boys do when a promise feels too big to fit inside a small chest. But years later, standing alone at a bus stop with rain soaking my jacket and regret soaking deeper, I realized that joke had been the truest thing I had ever said, and the cost of not keeping it was about to be revealed in ways I could never undo. We were 10 years old when I blurted it out, sitting on the cracked steps behind her grandmother's house, our feet dangling above a garden that never quite grew right. The sky was orange with sunset, and she was crying because her parents were arguing again inside the house. I didn't know how to fix broken adults or loud homes, so I said the first thing that made her look at me instead of the door. When we grow up, I'll marry you. It came out careless and brave at the same time, like throwing a pebble into deep water without knowing how far it would sink. She wiped her eyes, smiled the kind of smile that tries to be strong, and said softly, I hope you'll keep that promise. Something shifted then. I felt taller, important, chosen. But childhood has a way of making big words feel light. And as years passed, life taught me how easy it is to forget what once felt sacred. We grew up together, but not in the same direction. School pulled me forward, ambitions wrapped around me like a tight suit I was proud to wear. She stayed behind more often, helping her grandmother, working part-time, learning responsibility before she learned how to dream. We still met sometimes at festivals, at the old steps, but our conversations grew shorter, filled with updates instead of secrets. She'd look at me like she was searching for the boy I used to be, and I'd talk about plans like they were proof I was becoming someone important. When I left town for college, she hugged me longer than I expected. Don't forget us, she said. I smiled and replied, how could I? Believing memory alone was enough to keep a promise alive. Years rolled on fast. I fell in love once, then again, each time thinking this must be what growing up looks like, moving forward, letting go. I heard about her through mutual friends. She was working at a clinic, then caring for her grandmother when she got sick. Strong, they said, always smiling, always tired. I told myself she was fine without me, that childhood promises don't count in adult life. But some nights when success felt strangely hollow, I'd remember her words and feel something ache where certainty used to be. The call came on an ordinary afternoon. My phone buzzed with a number I hadn't saved, and when I answered, her voice sounded older, but unmistakably hers. We talked awkwardly at first, like strangers who knew each other too well. Then she said, do you ever think about that promise? Silence swallowed me. I tried to joke it away, the same way I had when I was 10, but my voice failed me. She didn't laugh. I'm not calling to blame you, she said gently. I just wanted to know if it meant anything to you now. I told her I didn't know. And the moment the words left my mouth, I knew that was the wrong answer. I went back to our hometown a week later, driven by something I couldn't name. Guilt, curiosity, fear. The garden behind her grandmother's house was gone, replaced by weeds and cracked soil. She met me at the door, thinner than I remembered, eyes still kind but guarded. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, circling the truth like it might break if touched. Finally, she told me she was leaving town, a job offer in another city, a fresh start. I waited a long time, she said quietly. Not just for you, for life to feel fair. I can't wait anymore. Panic rose in me, sharp and undeniable. I realized then that the joke I once made had shaped her hopes, her patience, her pain, and my silence had shaped her strength. That night I couldn't sleep. I thought about all the times I had chosen comfort over courage, progress over people. I understood something too late. Promises don't age out. They wait. In the morning I went to see her before she left. My words were clumsy, honest, scared. I told her I had been wrong to treat her hope like a childish thing. I told her I still cared, that I didn't know what the future looked like. But I wanted to try, really try, if she'd let me. She listened, eyes wet but steady. I don't need a perfect ending, she said. I need a real one. And for the first time in years, I chose truth over fear. If you think this is where the story neatly ends, you're wrong, because keeping a promise is harder than making one. and love doesn't reward you instantly for finally being brave. The first test came quickly: distance. She moved for her job, and we tried to rebuild across miles and missed calls, learning each other again as adults shaped by different scars. Some days were easy, filled with laughter and old memories. Other days were heavy, packed with doubt. She struggled to trust that I wouldn't disappear again. I struggled to forgive myself for taking so long. We argued, sometimes about small things that were really about old wounds. There were moments she pulled away, and moments I wanted to run because staying meant facing the damage I'd caused. Then life threw its cruelest challenge. Her grandmother passed away unexpectedly. I left everything and went to her, sat beside her in silence, held her when words failed. At the funeral, I saw the girl she had been and the woman she had become, strong because she had to be. That was the moment I understood love wasn't about grand promises or dramatic speeches. It was about showing up when it hurt, staying when leaving would be easier. After the service, she looked at me and said, "This is what I hoped you'd become. Not perfect, present." We didn't rush into marriage or fairy tale declarations. We built slowly, deliberately, learning how to choose each other every day. I learned to listen without defending myself. She learned to let hope back in without fear. One evening, sitting on a balcony in her new city, watching the lights flicker on, I said it again, but this time without laughter. "When we grow old, I'll still choose you." She smiled, tears in her eyes, and replied, "That's a promise worth keeping." Years later, when I finally asked her to marry me, it wasn't on cracked steps or under a dramatic sky. It was in a quiet kitchen, coffee growing cold between us. She said yes without hesitation, because by then my actions had spoken louder than any words. Looking back, I know this story isn't about fate or childhood romance. It's about accountability. About realizing that the things we say in moments of innocence can become lifelines or wounds depending on what we do next. If there's one truth to carry from this, it's this: don't dismiss the promises you make when your heart is open. Someone may be building their future around them. Growing up isn't about outgrowing your words, it's about finally becoming brave enough to live up to them.